Is your day going well today? Hello and welcome to our podcast, Why Is That So? A series that often begins with why questions based on first principle thinking. This approach offers you diverse perspectives on various life issues and helps you cultivate a truly conscious mindset. Join us for this episode. Why don't you believe me? I told you that bottle was left behind by one of my employees. The man said to his girlfriend after she discovered a bottle of feminine wash in his house. This wasn't the first time she had found another woman's belongings in a place that was supposed to be just hers and his. From an increasing number of toothbrushes to bras appearing behind the bathroom door and even a nightgown on his bed. Each time she demanded an explanation, and each time she received the same answer. It belongs to one of my employees who forgot it. This answer was illogical yet strangely plausible. Illogical because it shouldn't be happening with a man who held her close every day and told her he loved her. Yet, plausible because his employees did, in fact, frequently visit his house. And because she loved him, she chose to believe what he said. In doing so, she unwittingly trapped herself in a spiral of guilt. Each time she stood before the man she loved, she never felt she was in the right. Even when she clearly knew he was having affairs with other women, she still believed it was all her fault. And that was when she realized she had fallen into a narcissist's trap. What exactly is narcissism, and how can we spot it? The term narcissist originates from Greek mythology, depicting the youth Narcissus, who became so enamored with his own reflection in the water that he abandoned everything, wasting away in solitude without realizing it was merely an illusion. From this symbol, modern psychology has developed the concept of narcissism as a personality disorder or a behavioral tendency within a broad spectrum. The 2013 Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders by the American Psychiatric Association clearly lists the characteristic traits of a narcissist. Individuals with narcissistic traits often exaggerate their self-worth, crave admiration, but severely lack empathy. In relationships, they tend to control or distort others' emotions to maintain superiority and reinforce their self-image. In communication, they easily overshadow others' stories by steering every topic back to themselves or subtly invalidating and belittling the other person's feelings. Regardless of how it manifests, the common thread is that they will always place themselves outside of others' orbits, living in a world where their own needs and emotions must come first, expecting those around them to perceive them in the same way. Prolonged contact with such individuals often leads to a state of emotional exhaustion, manipulation, disorientation, and a gradual loss of faith in one's own feelings. This is due to their indifference and lack of empathy, disguised by a charming, intelligent, or highly rational facade. As seen in the story above, it's clear that the boyfriend was entirely in the wrong, constantly having affairs with other women, even repeatedly leaving undeniable evidence. But instead of admitting fault or facing the truth, he manipulated by outright denying everything, deliberately rejecting what happened before her eyes, and then convincing his girlfriend that it was all just her imagination, that she was too sensitive, too suspicious, that she was fabricating a non-existent scenario. Simply because of a lack of trust, he sowed seeds of self-doubt in her, making her believe she was overly dramatic, that she was the problem in the relationship. As a result, her trust and intuition gradually wavered. Her spirit became exhausted, and her rationality eroded by his repeatedly and convincingly told lies. So, what are the root causes that create a narcissist? Where there's a plant, there are vines. Everything in life has an origin, and narcissism is no exception. What we see is merely a shell of arrogance and lack of empathy. Beneath lies a cascade of accumulated causes. Narcissistic personality doesn't form from a single cause, but is the result of a combination of biological factors, childhood experiences, defense mechanisms, and societal influences. Understanding the root causes is not to excuse the harm narcissists inflict, but to help us identify and proactively protect ourselves from subtle manipulation veiled in glamour. The first cause is genetic and neurobiological factors. Some studies show that people with narcissistic tendencies often have different brain activity in regions related to emotional processing and social reward. They react strongly to praise, but have low empathy. This makes them sensitive to admiration, but unable to form deep connections with others. While not a decisive factor, this forms a foundation, making them more prone to developing a narcissistic personality in unfavorable environments. Furthermore, a distorted personality can develop from early childhood experiences. Although science suggests that narcissistic tendencies can have biological roots, most narcissistic behaviors in humans can be traced back to early interactions with caregivers. Children raised in environments where parents are overly indulgent, constantly praising without setting clear boundaries, may develop the belief that they are superior and always deserve attention. Conversely, children who are emotionally neglected or live under immense pressure and high expectations may feel inadequate, thus constructing an idealized image to gain approval. Gradually, their true self is forgotten, replaced by a perfect mask they believe is the only self that can be loved. Additionally, in modern society, where individual success is a measure of worth and personal image must always be polished, narcissistic behaviors are not only accepted but subtly encouraged. From slogans like, "Be the best version of yourself," "Don't waste your life," to the pressure of building a personal brand on social media, all of these push people into an image race that increasingly distances them from their true selves. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok constantly encourage comparison and showing off, fostering the creation of an admirable version of oneself. Regardless of the truth, people post beautiful pictures, recount achievements, and hide sorrows and vulnerabilities. This unwittingly trains the brain into a narcissistic lifestyle, not allowed to be weak, always needing validation, and less capable of genuine connection with others. Even after identifying characteristic manifestations and somewhat understanding the roots of a narcissistic personality, why do we still feel unable to escape their control? This is because narcissists are very skilled at disguising themselves and exploiting others' emotional weaknesses. They often begin relationships with charm, attentiveness, and understanding you like no one ever has, making you feel special, seen, and loved. This is the love bombing phase where they idealize you, making you believe you are important and chosen. Once you are attached, they gradually withdraw their warmth, replacing it with cold criticism and comparisons that leave you confused and self-doubting. Am I the one who's wrong? What did I do to cause this? You start trying harder to regain the initial affection, and that is the trap they set. Narcissists do not provide consistent responses, but constantly create instability. Sweet one moment, cold the next, creating a cycle of emotional reward and punishment that makes you dependent. Psychology calls this an addiction mechanism. You will always await an emotional reward from them, but never know when you will receive it. The sad truth is that narcissists are very good at identifying your weaknesses, such as compassion and fear of abandonment, and your need for validation, and they exploit these to control your emotions and behavior. So, once the root of the problem has been identified, what should we do next? To deal with narcissists, the wounds inflicted by them can seep deep into our minds, gnawing at our self-esteem and fracturing our self-trust. But we must remember that we do not deserve to be treated poorly. It's time to learn how to ignore the narcissist and detach ourselves from their influence, from the cycle of harm they have caused. To heal these wounds, we cannot merely wait for time. We must proactively embark on a journey of rebuilding ourselves from within. For individuals with mild narcissistic traits, meaning they can still receive feedback, adjust their behavior, and maintain some emotional connection, a gentle approach can open a space for dialogue. When they react by blaming you back or trying to twist the situation, it's crucial to stay clear-headed to recognize manipulative tactics, then gently but firmly steer the conversation back to its original focus, just like in the story at the beginning of this podcast episode. Acknowledge that the girlfriend was wrong for trying to interrogate and control the man's life, but that does not give the man the right to use her mistakes as a shield to justify his infidelity. Blaming another's suspicion while oneself betraying is, ultimately, just a way to evade responsibility. When confronting deceitful, manipulative, and dishonest people, the most important thing is to be clear-headed enough to see through the situation and brave enough to leave. Once you see the truth, protecting yourself should not be an option but a necessity. With more severe narcissists, you will begin to feel like you are living in a vortex of exhaustion. They may isolate you from friends and family, making you live in a constant state of self-doubt day by day. This happens through manipulative tactics like gaslighting, which makes you question your own feelings, memories, and even reality. If you find yourself gradually losing your personal value, no longer being yourself, constantly anxious, depressed, or feeling that life has lost its balance, then you need to leave immediately. At that moment, you might feel selfish, as if you are running away from reality. This is because you have lived too long in that illusion, and the toxic environment has inadvertently become your comfort zone. Sometimes, pause for a moment and ask yourself if you are truly happy with this person. Are you still yourself? Are you trying for love or out of fear, guilt, or regret? If even one answer makes you feel uneasy, then the relationship is truly no longer stable. Being alone might be difficult, so do not hesitate to seek external support from friends, family, or mental health professionals. Neutral and empathetic individuals can help you shed light on the problem, reconnect with your inner self, and make sound decisions. Allow yourself to fully feel everything that is happening within your heart. Whether it's anger, hurt, confusion, or emptiness, don't deny any emotion, because emotions always have a reason. Naming your emotions is a way to reclaim control of your mind. When you are aware of what you are feeling, you will understand that you are still an independent person, not defined by the gaze, judgment, or manipulation of others. Once your inner self is clear, you will gradually learn to distinguish who truly deserves a place in your world. Not everyone needs your concern or your efforts to understand them. Some people only appear in your life to teach you a lesson about boundaries, about pain, and about the value of letting go. Learning to reject toxic relationships is not selfishness, but a courageous act to protect yourself from further harm. You will be your own guide. The journey to recovery is not easy, but you are absolutely capable of overcoming it because you are still here, choosing to heal, choosing to live authentically, and choosing yourself. Through all of this, we understand that not only those who have been hurt by narcissists need to learn how to cope and heal, but narcissists themselves also need to reflect on their own behavior. The pain they carry cannot be an excuse to hurt others. Past wounds cannot be compensated for by control, manipulation, or belittling others. If they do not learn to face their inner selves and take responsibility for their own emotions, then no matter how much others love them, the emptiness within them will never be filled. True love is not submission to one's unstable emotions, but a meeting of two mature souls who respect and support each other. Please do not justify it by saying, "I'm just loving myself. I need to prioritize myself first." Please remember that self-love is not synonymous with narcissistic behavior. True love for oneself always comes with awareness, the ability to set healthy boundaries, and emotional responsibility towards those around you. Someone who truly loves themselves will not hurt others to protect their ego. Only those who are unaware of the narcissism within themselves will harm others in the name of self, seeing nothing wrong with it. And then, if they don't change, they will continue to isolate themselves, repeat failed relationships, and ultimately find only emptiness, like the youth Narcissus forever gazing at his reflection in the water, never truly touching genuine love. Leaving someone you once loved is never easy. There were times when you yearned to pull them out of that deepest, lonely shadow. You tried to reach the deepest layers of their soul with all your sincerity, but you cannot save someone who doesn't want to save themselves. The only thing you can and need to do is to save yourself from the spiral of pain to protect your peace, dignity, and the profound value within your soul. True love does not demand that you sacrifice your ego, nor does it force you to shrink into a shadow just to be acknowledged by someone. If a person can only exist by making others feel small, that is not love. It is a craving for power disguised by emotional veneer. Choose the path that leads you to freedom, respect, and compassion for yourself, because the most precious thing you can do after stepping out of the shadow of a narcissist is to become a gentle and authentic light for yourself. And that's our podcast episode for this week. If you resonated with these shared insights, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and look forward to the next episodes of Why Is That So? Bye.